NASA's mission is to explore the unknown.
There's more that we don't know than we do know. That's just the nature of the universe.
Searching for answers, it launches scientists into space and craft beyond the edge of the solar system.
Taking risks is part of making discoveries.
Space exploration is like lighting a match, and we don't know what lurks in the shadows.
Hey, what is that?
There could be anything out there.
Life on other planets. Mysterious phenomena in deep space. And danger close to home. NASA's missions have uncovered disturbing anomalies.
Okay, we're seeing 3 or 4 objects.
No, there are 3 objects.
That continue to perplex our finest scientific minds. These are NASA's Unexplained Files. "230 miles above Earth, an astronaut sees something extraordinary.
It's clearly not a natural phenomenon.
He said, I saw some really weird stuff down there flying past.
At this point in the mission, this is kind of a shock.
You're very aware, hyper-aware when you're doing a spacewalk, because you are in a pretty dangerous situation.
It's Chiao's 4th and final trip into orbit.
It's exciting on many levels, and also stressful, too, because you don't want to mess up your last one, right? That's what they all remember you for.
Cosmonaut Salazar-Sharapov works alongside Chiao. Both men's lives depend on an inch-wide tether that keeps them from drifting off into space.
If tethers become undone, then you're just going to float away from the station, and it's pretty much curtains.
Orbiting Earth at more than 17,000 miles per hour, Chiao is completely unprepared for what happens next.
Suddenly I look up and I see these 5 lights. They seem to fly by.
And he reports, wow, I've just had echelon formation of like 5 lights.
And there are 4 in a line.
But one of them is slightly offset from the others.
My heart just kind of leaps up into my throat. And they kind of go flying by, by the station. And, what are these lights?
Chiao immediately calls Mission Control. NASA engineer James Oberg observed the spacewalk.
When you see something strange in space, the possibility always is that it can bite you. Your life might be on the line.
I called to Salajan, my crewmate. I said, Salajan, do you see those lights? Do you see them flying by?
But the Russian is facing away from the lights and sees nothing. Even the space station's onboard cameras miss the action. But the incident does trigger the curiosity of former NASA engineer James Smith. He digs out satellite images from around the time of Chiao's encounter.
And sure enough, he finds a picture that shows 4 or 5 lights in a row in the area that Chiao had flown over a few hours earlier.
The image confirms Chiao's story. So what did he actually see? Smith begins to search through records of satellite paths and even of military Air Force exercises. But he finds nothing. Smith then turns his attention to ground-based activities. In the waters off South America, commercial fishing fleets use huge arrays of lights to fish at night. Smith wonders whether these were the lights seen by Chiao.
They catch cuttlefish and other kinds of squid by attracting them to immensely bright lights. They hang out over the water. They are visible from outer space.
And so they were deployed in a line up the coast, and that's why, and it was the rotation of the Earth that made it appear that they were flying.
Chiao accepts Smith's theory, But he also doesn't dismiss the possibility of future contact with alien life forms.
I have no doubt there's other life in the universe. What I doubt is I don't think we've found each other yet.
How far into space will mankind travel before encountering alien life? New discoveries suggest extraterrestrials may be closer than we think. Less than 500 million miles from Earth, could creatures be living on an icy world scarred red by mysterious bloody lines?
Habitats on Europa could be the same as habitats we see here on Earth. Small moons seem to be where it's at.
Vehicles released. We got all the verification for that.
1995.
Galileo is on its way to another world. Fly safe.
The Galileo probe explores Jupiter. But the gas giant is not NASA's sole target. Galileo is also investigating the planet's moons, especially the one called Europa. Blood red veins crisscross the moon's icy surface. Some bear an uncanny resemblance to freeways on Earth. Others are chillingly similar to the Martian redweed choking Earth in H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. Scientists attempting to explain the blood-colored stripes remain unsure.
There's actually a lot that we don't understand about the environment on Europa.
2001. NASA scientist Brad Dalton takes a shot at Europa's red line riddle.
They have this strange reddish tint that looks kind of like rust, but also it looks a lot like some kind of slime. And it occurred to me, certainly we've seen all kinds of forms of life that have that reddish brown pigmentation here on Earth, so why couldn't some microbes out there be providing this coloration?
Dalton measures infrared chemical signatures from Europa's lunar lesions and compares them with samples of life living in geysers at Yellowstone National Park. A positive result would suggest we found life on another world.
Wouldn't you know it, the infrared part, which is what we've been looking at from the Galileo spacecraft, matched up almost perfectly. The features we saw on Europa could be explained by life. It was almost scary how well it matched.
But not everyone agrees with Dalton's analysis.
The fact that the streaks are red means that they've got a particular kind of chemical in them. And the speculation is that it's probably sulfur that's contributing to the redness of those streaks.
To prove Dalton right, NASA must find the building blocks of life in the moon's slimy cracks. They are already looking for the most fundamental: liquid water.
If you find water, that's kind of the first step in saying, well, there's a chance that there could be life here.
Incredibly, NASA's data from 2 decades of observation suggests that a huge water ocean flows beneath the moon's icy crust.
I don't think anyone would have expected to find liquid water on an icy satellite of Jupiter.
That ocean of liquid water is more liquid water than there is on the Earth.
In 2013, more evidence emerges when NASA's Hubble telescope spots water gushing out of Europa's geysers.
That water's been sitting there for 4 billion years. Could it have cooked up some life? Yes, it could have.
The conditions on Europa could never support human life. But NASA's Chris McKay doesn't need to travel far to find creatures that might thrive there. Extremophiles live in some of Earth's most intense environments.
Extremophiles are organisms that live in environments that we humans would not want to live in, that we would find extreme.
Extremophiles can even affect their environment. They turn salt green, and like cracks on Europa, create bloody red scars.
So life on Europa could indeed look like what we see in these places on Earth.
It might be possible for life to exist on Europa's surface, but the moon's oceans are a better place for life to thrive.
Once you're in that ocean, it's dark. Every day, it's just pitch black. No photosynthesis. But on the other hand, there are likely to be what are called deep sea vents. They're just sort of cracks in the bottoms of the ocean where a little bit of heat comes out. And it turns out there are life forms that live off that heat, that chemistry here on Earth, very similar to the kind of life that could exist at the bottom of the oceans of Europa.
There's only a limited amount that we can do by looking. And I think the next step is going to have to be sending somebody to go there, dig down through the crust and go into the water itself.
Coming up, NASA spots a Death Star siphoning off the sun.
Certainly hope it's not a Death Star, otherwise we're in serious trouble.
Uninvited guests crash the Apollo 16 party. And a mysterious dark shape approaches the space shuttle Columbia.
I said, hey, take a look at this. We have something right outside the window.
"240,000 miles from home, two off-roading astronauts expand the frontiers of human knowledge.
Hey, John, this is perfect with the LIM and the rover and you and Stone Mountain.
The evidence they bring back leads to a mystery that spans more than 3 decades.
This is a saucer-shaped object with a dome on top.
Anyone that tells me that they can explain everything doesn't know what's going on.
April 21st, 1972. 36-year-old astronaut Charles Duke is about to become the youngest man to set foot on the moon.
And I look up at this enormous Saturn rocket, and it's fully fueled, and it's an eerie feeling because it seems like it's alive.
The mission, to bring back rocks from previously unexplored lunar territory. What Duke doesn't know is that he's about to bring back more than just geological samples.
20 fed. Contact. Stop.
Together with mission commander John Young, Duke touches down in the moon's southeast quadrant.
The missions have really shifted over to a significant scientific emphasis here. We're really operating now with the lunar rover. We're extending further out.
As you come around there, there's a rock in the near field on this rim that has some white on the top of it. We'd like you to pick it up as a grab sample.
This one right here?
That's it. You got it right there.
3 days later, with 200 pounds of moon rock safely stowed, it's time for home.
What a ride, what a ride.
Duke guides the lunar module to the rendezvous with the command module floating in lunar orbit. Before setting off for Earth, they retrieve film canisters from cameras outside the spacecraft. A textbook splashdown appears to mark the end of a perfect mission. But when the film is processed, the images suggest Apollo 16 may not have been alone.
There's something in one of the images. What is it? It's the question everybody's asking.
The only thing everyone agrees on is this is just about as close as you can get to the kind of flying saucer that you see in a Hollywood sci-fi movie.
But when the astronauts review the footage, they don't buy the UFO explanation.
It's impossible to have taken that and had there been an actual object out there not to have seen it. I'm looking at what the camera's seeing, and I certainly would have seen an object that was real, that was that big.
NASA's Jim Oberg concludes that this seemingly solid object must be a photo of Earth as seen from the moon. The trouble is, the Earth is in the wrong place.
Some UFO buff checked out the moon's position and found out it couldn't have been the Earth. That identification was wrong, and I had been mistaken.
The mystery remains unsolved for more than 3 decades. Until 2004, when advances in image analysis resurrect NASA's investigation.
32 years after this sighting, NASA boosts the image resolution and combines several different frames.
The new techniques reveal something unseen in previous images, a strut that appears to connect the flying saucer to the command module. After 3 decades of speculation, the sighting can be explained.
The object in reality was the command module spacewalk floodlight.
Just the same as any work site here in America, if you're going to be operating at night, you're going to need floodlights. So they needed a floodlight to be able to see what they were doing.
The 30-year-old mystery seems to have been put to rest. This flying saucer, at least, turns out to be a fantasy. Still to come, an ancient meteorite brings worm-like entities to Earth.
The president goes on live TV and says, it may not just be us.
And a mysterious fireball violates Russian airspace.
Something came towards it. It seemed to hit it. Maybe that's what caused it to explode.
Erupting from the eastern sky, a fireball streaks across Russian airspace and appears to blow apart.
Something is directed towards the object.
And maybe that's what caused it to explode.
Did the Cold War just reignite? Friday morning in Chelyabinsk, an industrial city in southern Russia. Commuters, school children, office workers settle in for the day ahead. 9:20 a.m. A strange, blinding light casts a shadow across the city, bringing people out onto the streets. The light suddenly disappears. Looking to the sky, astonished residents film a vast vapor trail overhead. Minutes later, an explosion rocks the city. Scientists record a blast 25 times larger than Nagasaki. Windows shatter and people fly off their feet. The city's shattered residents try to make sense of this aerial bombardment. Rumors of a hostile act against Russia flood the internet. Politician Vladimir Zhirinovsky even accuses the U.S. of involvement in the strike on the city. In Moscow, NASA scientist Slava Turyashev searches for answers.
There are many conflicting reports. There is a significant anxiety, whether or not it's a single event or maybe there will be other events.
While NASA rushes to discover the cause of the cataclysm, the mystery deepens.
The days that follow this sensational event, word begins to spread. Maybe there was something else going on.
There are news feeds that seem to indicate that as this thing is entering the atmosphere as a glowing fireball, that something is directed towards the object, possibly stopping it, possibly breaking it up.
People are saying, yeah, something came towards it and seemed to hit it. And maybe that's what caused it to explode.
Images of the fireball's strange collision capture the public imagination. But when NASA studies the entire event, building a moment-by-moment timeline from dozens of different cameras, they see a different phenomenon. The people of Chelyabinsk witnessed a meteor disintegrating as it smashed through Earth's atmosphere.
As this object comes through the atmosphere, pieces are breaking apart. You see stuff flying in different directions. It's very easy to get a perception of something very odd. After all, this is an incredibly rare event.
The fireball's interceptor is really a fragment of the meteor keeping pace with the fireball. But NASA's explanation doesn't satisfy the citizens of Chelyabinsk, who are left with a devastated city. While searching for an impact crater that matches the explosive shockwave, they find nothing bigger than a swimming pool. The idea that whatever created the tiny impacts could also topple a city seems laughable. But according to Professor Lawrence Garvey, an expert in meteorites, the destruction in Chelyabinsk could be explained by the physics of a large, fast-moving object streaking through the atmosphere.
What we're seeing first with the Chelyabinsk meteor is its visual effect. It's coming in, it's breaking up. We're not hearing anything because the light is traveling to us almost instantaneously. We can see it immediately. But as we're looking at it, we're unaware that traveling towards us at the speed of sound is the shock wave. And it's almost like a fist punching a window really hard. But punching every single window in the town at the same time.
The energy released as the supersonic rock disintegrated above the city explains the destructive shockwave. But the devastation could have been far worse. The Earth's atmosphere shielded Chelyabinsk against the meteorite's full potential. NASA calculations suggest that our natural defenses only worked because the meteor was made of relatively soft rock. Had the 60-foot wide meteor been made of metal instead, it could have released the energy of 60 Nagasakis.
Here in Arizona, we have the perfect example of what would happen. What looks like a 45-meter hill here is actually the edge, the rim of this spectacular crater. This gives you some sense of what a large meteor impact would do.
There are more than 80,000 metallic asteroids floating near us in space. Some of them may even be heading our way right now. Next, Star Wars comes to a sun near you.
So our only hope is not a Death Star, otherwise we're in serious trouble.
Something has invaded the space close to the sun.
They look like spaceships.
What we're seeing here is 10 times bigger than the Earth. Imagine the resources needed to build a spaceship larger than a planet.
In March 2012, astronomers monitoring images from a solar telescope in Earth's orbit see something ominous just to the west of the sun's south pole.
What the heck is that? It's Darth Vader's big vehicle, of course.
It looks like the Death Star from Star Wars.
So our only hope is not a Death Star, otherwise we're in serious trouble.
Planet-sized tendrils appear to connect the globe of darkness to the sun's surface. This connection fuels speculation that the sinister sphere's presence near our star is no coincidence.
Why would anybody visit the sun? Well, it might be a good place to refuel.
The sun burns hydrogen, the perfect fuel for a starship.
Could spaceships be refueling by getting as close as possible to stars and sapping up that energy, and that's what's fueling them through space? That image certainly raises that possibility.
The sun puts out more power in a second than humanity has used in all of history.
But the 3 million degree temperatures in the sun's atmosphere would destroy any human technology.
We can't use the sun for a spacecraft, but that doesn't mean some very advanced alien race can't.
It would require some massive engineering advances. You don't want this spacecraft to vaporize.
It's not insane to think there is an unobtainium that is what you need to be able to build a Death Star that can roll right into a star to refuel. All it is a matter of being able to handle the heat.
Once the Death Star's fuel tank is filled, the colossal nozzle detaches, and the craft zooms off to wreak mayhem elsewhere in the galaxy. It's an incredible idea, too incredible for NASA, who come up with their own explanation for the black orb, involving equally astonishing non-alien phenomena.
We're looking at a prominence in a magnetic bubble. It's the magnetic bubble that looks like a big Death Star.
The tendrils or prominences, clouds of hydrogen clinging to the edge of the sun's atmosphere. The Death Star itself is a solar magnetic bubble the size of Jupiter, full of superhot plasma. The only thing holding the ball in place is a magnetic field, which can shift at any moment.
Eventually they erupt, and that's what we're seeing at the end. This eruption off into space. So even though we don't see it here on Earth, there are these huge explosions going on in the sun all the time.
Even if the NASA footage hasn't captured a planet-destroying Death Star, our sun is still a very real threat to civilization on Earth. The eruption seen here is a coronal mass ejection. It releases 1,000 times more energy than the Death Star bubble. If we take a hit from one of these, it can wreak havoc on Earth.
These things can knock out satellites. Electronics won't function.
It has effects on communications. It has effects on the power grids and power distribution.
Even worse, wild variations in solar activity can push the Earth into prolonged ice ages, or cover the planet with sweltering jungles and burning deserts.
The sun is the big guy on the block, and we have in the past ignored it at our peril.
Up next, telepathy in space.
He sees whether he can send telepathic messages back to friends on Earth.
And a visitor from another world.
They find this potato-shaped rock, and it was green.
Astronauts often see things their instruments don't pick up.
Suddenly, there seems to be like an explosion in my right eye.
Then they look like a streak.
The phenomenon prompts a series of secret experiments. Could the explanation be out of this world?
They're communicating telepathically with the astronauts.
Stroke.
In 1969, the first men on the moon returned to a hero's welcome. During the debrief, Buzz Aldrin risks being grounded when he talks about flashes of light inside the spacecraft's cabin. 4 months later, during the Apollo 12 mission, Alan Bean experiences a different, strange encounter.
The first time I saw them, I was on the backside of the moon, and I was looking down at a crater, and I saw a flash. And I thought, did I really see a flash? There's nothing going on down there.
Strange lights become a regular feature of the Apollo mission logs. Bizarrely, they appear more often on the way to the moon than on the way back.
It's like 4th of July. They streak. They're fireworks.
Something is happening to NASA's astronauts. With no conclusive evidence available, astronauts can only speculate about their experiences. Lunar Module pilot Ed Mitchell believes that outer space may be the perfect medium for telepathy. Without NASA's knowledge, he conducts his own experiment.
Edgar Mitchell decides to conduct some ESP experiments. In space, he sees whether he can send telepathic messages back to friends on Earth, and vice versa.
But Mitchell's efforts lead nowhere. These flashes have nothing to do with telepathy. NASA eventually decides to directly investigate the lights. A series of astronauts wear special goggles that record particles normally invisible to the human eye and report when they experience a flash.
We put on night goggles,
And then we'd sit there, and then maybe every minute or less, all of a sudden there'd be maybe a burst. We'd describe it.
They are going by at an outrageous speed. Golly.
The goggles record the flashes exactly as the astronauts describe them. So what are they? NASA's official explanation is that the lights are cosmic rays, high-energy particles ripping through space near the speed of light, bombarding the astronauts and their craft. But questions remain. Even now, no one can explain why astronauts see more strange lights while moving away from Earth. For now, it remains a cosmic mystery. With millions of galaxies and billions of stars, somewhere out there, alien life must exist. But what if extraterrestrials are already here? Martian hordes invade the Earth, bringing death and destruction. War of the Worlds made us rethink our place in the universe.
It had a huge impact on people because they started to think, we might not be alone.
We have long been fascinated with the possibility of life on the red planet.
Once we start discovering life in places like Mars, that means that inhospitable planets can actually host life, and that really opens up the universe to us.
Invaders from Mars! Does NASA have evidence that invaders from Mars have already landed on planet Earth?
Gee whiz!
Antarctica. Minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. A hardened team trek across the frozen wasteland, searching for intruders from outer space.
The U.S. runs expeditions every year down to Antarctica to look for meteorites. Mostly black rocks sitting on either the white snow or the blue ice.
In the Allen Hills, expedition member Scott Sanford is drawn to one very strange lump of rock.
They find this potato-shaped rock, and it was green.
The team have never seen a rock like this before. They tag it, bag it, and send it to NASA for analysis. The meteorite is logged as 84001.
84 for the year, and 001 because it was the first one they opened up out of the package to look at.
These meteorites is like a little book. You know, you open it up, and we as scientists are reading that book by looking at the chemistry and the structure and the isotopes and understanding its early history.
The rock is old, very old, and it looks different because it's not of this world. What they have in front of them is an ancient piece of Martian rock, a time capsule from another planet.
The meteorite, Allen Hills 84001, is absolutely fascinating as one of the oldest meteorites that we've ever uncovered from Mars, dating back to a period on Mars when there was water.
16 million years ago, a massive meteorite smashes into ancient Mars.
If we have a large enough impact on Mars, the impact itself will eject material from the surface of Mars back out into space.
Planetary debris spirals into space and crash lands on Earth. Now, this 5-pound chunk of rock has become a window into a time when Mars had oceans just like Earth. But astonishingly, NASA halts their study, locking the rock away. Its secrets remain hidden. Until 9 years later, when another research team decides to revisit it.
So here's a rock that's been sitting there, lying pretty much unstudied for a decade, and suddenly people realize there's something really unusual about this stone.
Believing that its composition might help explain how Mars formed, the team splits the rock open. they find something truly astonishing. Concealed in the rock is what appears to be the fossilized remains of a weird, worm-like creature. Evidence of an alien life form that traveled from Mars to Earth.
This is the first credible evidence of possible life from space. I mean, we've been speculating about this for years, but here we actually have something from another planet that looks like it had life in it.
This is it, the real thing. It's front page news all around the world. The president goes on live TV and says, it may not just be us.
If this discovery is confirmed, it will surely be one of the most stunning insights into our universe that science has ever uncovered. Its implications are as far-reaching and awe-inspiring as can be imagined.
But definitive proof that this is an alien life form remains elusive.
When the analysis of the Mars meteorite was first done, it got a lot of criticism from people saying, well, it's been on Earth for a long time, lying in Antarctica. This could all be contamination.
Actually, there is a way to test that. It's possible nowadays to take a little bitty slice of that rock out and look at our little bug in cross-section. But that's never been done. And that's always been a problem, for me at least, that there's a way to test this idea that the bugs are biological or whether they're artifacts, and it's never been done. So I don't know why. I don't know why. I do not know.
Scientists continue to debate if 84001 contains fossilized life forms from Mars. But there are other space rocks out there, and who knows what they might contain. Next, Columbia astronauts see a familiar black shape.
We have something right outside the window.
It's been seen and reported countless times, in different places by different people. Hanging, hovering in the sky, a bizarre black triangle.
People are seeing triangular aircraft or vehicles. It seems like everywhere nowadays.
What the f is that? Have you got it on there? Yeah.
There's been over 10,000 sightings in the last few years.
Can all these sightings be dismissed as secret stealth planes spying in the sky? Or is there something else?
It's a weird little thing. We believe that UFOs are from outer space.
The black triangle had only been seen from Earth until 1986, when everything changed. January 12th, 1986.
T-minus 10, go for engine start.
Launch of Space Shuttle Columbia.
We have ignition, we have liftoff.
It's Hoop Gibson's first mission as shuttle commander.
As the commander, you definitely have quite a bit of adrenaline running. You can't be more than 3 degrees off or the vehicle will be destroyed.
But things quickly go wrong.
We were chasing malfunctions all the way to orbit.
Roger, we copy.
Numerous systems fail while Hoop fights hard to get his crew safely into space.
All of a sudden, the engine shut down and you're weightless. Everything's floating.
In space in one piece. But then he sees something unexpected.
I said, hey, take a look at this. We have something out the window. It's just right outside the window. It was a triangular object that we saw. It was fairly thin, almost like a wedge of pie or a wedge of pizza. We talked to Mission Control about it because they're going to help us with things that might be a problem. If something goes wrong, you're re-entering right now.
The images hit the public eye. The black triangle in space. NASA's Jim Oberg doesn't buy the idea of secret military stealth aircraft.
That something like that would be flown near a space shuttle without the people at the mission control knowing that is not going to be allowed. There's no value to it, to the military or to NASA, and there's a lot of hazards to it. So I think that idea is one that, after consideration, it can pretty easily be eliminated.
But it's similarities between the object and the previously reported black triangles that make it so intriguing. Hoop remains cautious. For one thing, it is often difficult to judge scale and distance in the emptiness of space.
The interesting thing about the photo that we took is that this could be a very large object very far away, or it could be a small object very close.
For 27 years, the sighting remains a deep mystery. Then, in 2013, NASA releases a higher definition image of the triangle in space. With sharpened contours, NASA and Hoop believe they can finally identify the object.
It was a small piece of black tile that came off of Columbia.
It may be a small tile, but to anyone on board a shuttle, seeing a piece of floating insulation is just as alarming as any alien encounter. In 2003, damage to the shuttle's insulation led to Columbia's destruction during re-entry. Tragically, Columbia's crew of 7 didn't know about the breach in the ship's protective skin.
Nobody saw it. They were looking at other things, and unwarned, the astronauts and mission control did not know that the shuttle had been lethally damaged and the crew was lost during re-entry.
With the benefit of hindsight, the sinister black triangle seen in 1986 may have been an early warning sign for the shuttle program.